back to our channel. My name is Chelsea and this is my mom Cherise. We are the creators of Shaping Strong Families and this is our first episode of the Shaping Strong Families show.
Right, and our channel was created to
help families, help parents.
Right, just adjust to today's challenges that go along with, today's world.
Oh, maybe I should introduce baby Austin. This is baby Austin. He's 7 months old.
Isn't he cute?
So for the first episode of the Shaping Strong Family show, we actually were not planning on having this topic, but since it is something that we have been asked about several times, we just want to share with everybody how to speak to your children about gun violence. So it is definitely at the top of everybody's minds right now, and I just think that people don't necessarily know what to say to their children.
Right.
They don't know if it's a good idea to even talk about it at all, or just to ignore it, or wait until they ask. So, what do you think, Mom?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of things to give consideration to, and I'm wondering, Chelsea, you have 4 kids. Obviously, the baby doesn't know what's going on, but you have a little one, and then you have like a tween, and then you have a teenager. I'm just wondering, have you heard from your children like about all the shootings that have occurred in America lately?
Well, one of the shootings, not the most recent shooting, but the shooting prior to that, well, I guess 3 shootings ago actually, was in Oxford, which is
our state,
which is in our state, is in our county. Oxford is a school that we sometimes see at our wrestling meets and stuff like that. So it did hit a little bit close to home because it was right down the street, my son's peers, since my oldest is 16. So to answer your question, my oldest has brought it up, Connor has brought it up, and we've talked about it in great detail together. I was waiting until the weekend to talk about it with the girls because I didn't want them to be afraid to go to school. So my daughters are 10 and 7 and they have not brought it up. I have not told them yet, but I do plan on sitting down with them this weekend and having a conversation about it.
Yeah, and particularly that one does hit home for you in a different way because they're the age. They're in the elementary school, so they probably will have some questions about that.
Yeah, I think that they will. So what do you think the best way is to address it?
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, I think it's important to remember that there is no one way to address it. It's important to take your cues from your children and also to answer their questions and address their concerns like from your heart, right? So you're not an expert. You're a parent.
Right.
And so you just want to connect with your kid, and you know your kid better than anyone. So first things first, I think we have to consider the age of the children, right? So certainly your youngest, who's just turned 7, I would expect her to be, 7-year-olds are pretty egocentric in their emotions, so everything that happens around them really relates to them specifically. So Scarlett might need some, might have questions and assurances about like specifically how will this affect me, right? Is my life going to be different in any way? So you're going to gear your questions or your answers to her questions in a different way than Connor, and Connor being older, of course, he can experience things on a whole different level. He's in high school, so he's just slightly under an adult awareness, right? So I would imagine someone Connor's age, and I think I heard him say with the Oxford shooting that he was afraid, right? So what am I supposed to do?
Right.
So if this happens, how am I supposed to handle it?
Yes, specifically if this happens at my school, what do I do?
Right. So important, I think, to not to provide more information than your child's ready for, right?
Okay.
So obviously this little one, you're not going to talk about it at all. That's silly. But with Scarlett,
who is 7,
she might, you might put it to her. I would suggest that you do ask an open-ended question, like, did you hear about this? What do you think about that?
So do you think it's a good idea for me to start the conversation, or do you think I should wait until they start the conversation? Because somebody told me that it's better to hear it from your parents instead of hearing it from like the kids, other kids at school.
Yeah, and I think there's value in both of the things that you said. You want to be available to answer questions as they come to you with them, right? And so if you're driving down the road and one of your kids has a question, it's important for you to address it at that point, at that time. If they're going to bed at night and they bring it up, you want to stop what you're doing and you want to address that at that time. That's a golden opportunity for you to show your kids not just the answer to their question, but that's your opportunity to connect and reassure. Right? But because we in America we've just had such a spate of these horrible things, we're all mourning.
Yeah.
I think it is important that we're straight up with our kids and addressing it as well.
Yeah.
So sitting down with your kids and asking an open-ended question. Have you heard about it?
Is a good idea.
Yeah. What do you think about it? And if they're busy and they don't feel like dealing with it, they'll tell you, right?
Yeah.
It would be more likely, I think, that Scarlett would, not have much to say about it. But
let me take this baby inside.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on.
Yes. So I think it's important before you talk to your kids that you want to consider what they might say or what they might ask, and consider like who, what, where, why, when. Right? They could ask any of those questions, and then rehearse in your head how you might respond to that.
Okay.
You don't have to have magic professional answers. You just need to be honest and connect with your child. So, for instance, if Scarlett might be more prone to say, well, what happened? What are you talking about? What's going on? So you might want to have a very brief description of this, right? Where did it happen? How far away? Why is a big one. You're older, you're teen, you're preteen. She might ask, like, why would anybody do that?
Do you think it's important to mention that the children were their same age as them or younger?
Well, I do think they might ask, right? So if you said it's at elementary school, and it happened to children, they're going to know.
They could figure that out.
They could probably figure that out. Yeah. So you might want to answer the questions and then take your lead from them.
Okay. And then Connor, who is 16, he brings me information that he finds himself on social media and the internet, and we talk about it and we discuss like how we feel about it. Sometimes it's controversial information about like laws and how this person acted or that person acted or what we could have done differently. So because he's older, we can go in details like that.
Yeah.
So we should probably leave that out for the smaller kids,
I
right?
would think so. And remember, you don't want to overwhelm or frighten, right? Of course, this is a horrible topic.
Yeah.
And you're a parent, right? I'm a grandparent. I'm a professional too. I'm a therapist, but we don't necessarily have the right answer or the best answer. Like if Connor were to say, why would someone do that? Those are tough questions. It's okay to say, I just don't know. Or what do you think? Why would somebody do that? And they might come up with their own trying to understand, like, well, how could that happen? Was he mentally ill? Was he angry? Was he, and we really don't know, right? Because there is no logical or rational explanation for any of this, but it's okay for them to question, like try to figure things out. And I think it's natural too that kids, like adults, they try to put themselves in the shoes of another person. That's empathy, right? Whether you're the bad guy or you're the victim, they try to have some sort of awareness, but sometimes it doesn't connect. And certainly in a situation like this, it's okay for the kids that it just absolutely doesn't connect. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And that's okay to be there with your kids, that you don't know why and you don't understand, and that's okay.
Okay. That makes sense. And I guess this pertains to more than just gun violence. This could be any sort of event like this in our community or our country in general. Right.
It could. And you think about that mass shooting that where the one horrible person killed innocent older African Americans in that grocery store.
Yeah.
There's a very serious conversation with your children, not just about the horrible tragedy, but the racial undertones.
Right.
And you have to be able to have an open conversation about your kids and instill on them, that part is something that you can't ignore.
Yeah.
Do I recall, did Connor ask you, what am I supposed to do? Like he said, I'm afraid and I don't know. What would I do if I saw somebody?
Connor asked me, what do I do if there's a shooter at my school? And I said, well, don't you have those trainings or like those drills for
Right.
you do active shooter drills, and they're called like Alice drills or something. And he said, yeah, but when we do it, the kids don't take it seriously. So I don't know what we would actually do. I don't know if we would panic. He's like, I don't know if other students would try to fight the person, or if we would barricade ourselves in the classroom, or what if it's during passing time between classes. Right. And it's a very weird conversation to have with your teenager. Like, Mom, what happens if this happens, if the school gets shot up?
What did you tell him?
Well, we kind of made a plan. I told him, you don't be a hero. Like, you don't need to run towards the gunman screaming with something that you might hit them on the head with. Like, you need to hide and take your opportunities where you can in those kinds of situations. But like, I don't know if that is the right answer.
I know.
I provided him comfort. I told him that I would be at the school in a second outside the door, and I told him to do what he needed to do to stay alive in that scenario.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know if I agree with teaching the kids how to, you know, fight the bad guy.
No, I don't think that. Yeah, I would definitely discourage you from saying, well, I want you to be a hero. If your friend, you're worried about them, you know, you should jump in front of. I don't think that's logical or safe. They're children. They're all going to panic. We can expect them to panic.
Exactly.
If there's an adult around, they should look to an adult. If it's passing time, if they're in their class, if they're in the lunchroom, they should look to where's the adult.
Yeah.
And that adult probably will give them immediate instructions, like get under hopefully. Yeah, it definitely, I would say the first thing, you know, is if there's an adult around you, follow their instruction.
Mm-hmm.
Like seek out, okay, there's noise and there's activity and I'm afraid. Is there an adult there? What are they telling you? If they're telling you to get into a classroom so they could lock it, or get on the floor or under a table, do what they tell you to do. If that's not available, I was talking with Connor about this, and I was like, you have to run.
Well, the biggest thing I told Connor that I kept saying over and over again is do not panic. Do not panic, because when you're panicked, you are not making any decisions, you're just reacting.
Right, it's a good point.
Do not panic and try to use your head and think, what should I do right now? Should I run crazy screaming? Should I hide right here? Should I try to run out the door? Like, in this moment, I'm not panicked, I'm calm, although it's very hard. I imagine, I've never been in that situation, but I imagine it's very difficult not to panic.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to tell them not to panic. It's important to keep a cool head about yourself, but we know they're going to panic, and so are we.
Of course.
We're going to panic. But if they can get away, get away. If they can't, then they need to secure where they're at.
Do you think it's important to have a plan with your kids if you are in public and there's an active shooting event? Or do you think it's just like you wouldn't want to frighten them like that?
I think it makes sense that you don't want to overdo, right? These events are horrific, but they don't occur every day, right? So we don't want to, you're going to have to gauge with your children, like how much, you know, how much is too much. And you could explain, okay, this is our emergency plan when we go into a public place. It doesn't have to be in case someone starts shooting. It could be in case there's an emergency. So if you're lost, or there's a tornado, or there's a bad guy, or, you know, you have to go to the bathroom. Any of those things, we should have a plan for if we're, you know, we're not standing right next to each other, what you need to do.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you think there's anything else that we should include when we have conversations like this with our children?
Well, I suppose it jumps to mind too, like it is important as a parent, you want to make sure that these conversations begin and end with, you're okay, you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have questions about that, but as long as you do the reassuring, you're the parent, we're in charge, you are safe. These are very rare things, and I don't want you to worry about them every day, and Mom and Dad have got this. We're going to keep you safe, and just keep reassuring them.
Yeah, and just live your life, because the last thing we want to do is paralyze them with fear.
Right, exactly.
So that they're afraid to go out, they're afraid to go to school, they're
Right.
afraid to just do normal kid things.
Right. If they do tell you, like, oh, I don't want to go to Target because what if there's a shooter, that's a good opportunity for you just to remind them how much fun you have at Target.
We do have fun at Target.
We have a lot of fun at Target, and we've been there a million times, and nothing bad happens, and we're going to go again, and we're going to get some fun things for summer, and we're going to have a Slurpee, and it's going to be fun.
So we hope that you found the information in this video helpful. We wish that we didn't have to make this kind of subject matter in a video, especially when we're talking about families and children, but It's just a prevalent matter in our society right now.
It is what it is.
Yeah, we hope that this helps you families out there. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to leave it down below in the comment section. Also, if you have any other subjects that you would like us to talk about or you wanted to get a professional opinion on, we'd be happy to talk about it. Anything else you want to include?
I don't think so.
So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.